Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to LCK Summer 2019. We are well and truly into week number 2, and Griffin have brought us to a final game of the night behind this gentleman's pretty balanced Yumi play, I think.
He's brought us a data point, Atlas. We can now go give an exact VOD timer and say, cool champion, that Yumi, and not just be playing with house money and theory and all the things on paper that people paid forward. First victory in Korea to the innovator of a lot of the Yumi builds you see around the world in Lehends. So that's a victory. That's no more Yumi. What does it mean for game 3? Because we've had 2 weird and wonderful drops come through. Second one just powered through the Lucian from Viper was definitely no slouch either. Game number 3. A BO1 for all the marbles, and probably the Sona on the sidelines, unless we see something different change.
Yeah, we could have some craziness here as once again Sandbox find themselves on the red side. They can mix it up now, and also the Silas can be first picked away if Griffin want to do that. Can go back towards their Sona style, but it didn't work last time as, yeah, surprise, surprise, Yumi hits the bench once again.
She looks so wistful and thoughtful in the pictures to keep
Yeah, she's like, I wish I could join Summer's Rift, but no. That's a no-no from you, my friend.
Well, 2 Lehends bans so far. What does this mean for...
Ghost ban as the Varus has been taken away.
What does this mean for Sona, Sejuani? Those are picks that we know that Griffin will definitely be considering. The Silas is something they've decided to give up with the Jace matchup, and game number 2 it definitely performed very, very well for the side of Sword. Here we go. This is a very intriguing ban. What do they ban on blue side? They ban Silas. So finally they have Summit removed from a pick that he's shown mastery on in this series.
Well, now do you ban the Sejuani against Tarzan, which sounds like a good idea to me, despite there being 1 loss on his record so far this season? Or do you take something else away? I mean, there's still a lot available.
Papa in this spot just chooses to ban away the Sona because I don't want to deal with any Sona shenanigans, and I have something ready for the now predictable first pick Sejuani. Sandbox doesn't take that side. They defer to Tarzan's mastery on the pick, and something's got to give in the draft. This would be a blind Aatrox. Now, Tarzan before has played Aatrox in the jungle, as we know. Sword has played it in the top lane, Chovy's played it in the mid lane. So there's definitely a lot of flexibility about this Aatrox, but it is a champion who is respected, and the win rate may be 40%, but it started off losing every game, and teams are getting more and more smart about when and how to fight as Aatrox.
Yeah, we're getting savvy to it now. As 2 seconds to go, Tom Kench. The first lock-in on the red side for Sandbox. They could pair this with the Sona if they want to. 20 seconds to go. Hasn't been how Sandbox have been playing this one out, but certainly has been a strategy that's worked. Where do they decide to go? 10 seconds now. OnFleek can take his jungler here if they don't want to give too much away, or they can go for a powerful solo lane, and the Rise is the decision. Still flexible here between Summit and Dove.
But they've definitely seen something like Olaf contested, because I think both these junglers fancy themselves warrior Olaf players. Tarzan, best known for the redemption Olaf rushes we saw in spring. The build is now LPL inspired. All aggression. The Sona's coming again. We're rolling it back. But will it be Sona Taric if we lock it in? Now, we've seen Sona Galio to good success, Atlas.
Yeah, I really like the Sona Galio. That's my favorite so far. That was how Kingzone made it look completely busted last week, and was then copied the series afterwards.
So let's wait on this pick here. The Taric would be understandable. We lauded the draft in game number 1, but they made execution errors around it. The Kingzone-inspired Galio would be a bit more straightforward to play, Atlas, and they do go for the duo that has won in Korea with the Sona Galio.
The thing I really like about the Sona Galio is the nerf that Galio just copped was to his AP scaling. And now you can get towards items that can give you some more of that AP much earlier on. Feels a little bit more solo lane-esque in the Galio rather than the support that we see not getting very many items.
And just to be clear, his base damages are down, so you actually have to buy AP to get to the old damage values. So the scalings are actually good. We don't necessarily see the Galios, even when they can last hit, buy AP, but it's something that's open to you. So I do like Galio with farm. I think he scales with items really, really well because he's a reliable teamfight winner with his flash taunt. So we like that part of it. First time we're going to see Sandbox get their hands on Jace, and that means we got solo laners ironed up in the first round.
Exactly. We don't quite know which solo lanes they will be occupying, but certainly you only need to worry about the jungle and the AD carry position at the moment, unless Tom Kench is going to be doing something weird and wonderful that could be potentially LS inspired. The Rek'Sai are going to be taken away once again in the second round here against OnFleek, and that has been very similar both times around.
Are we Draven is something I really want to know. I know it's so greedy. I know we'll know soon, but I really want to know what the AD carry pick is, because Vayne is going to be nice. I was going to actually spitball Vayne, because
just into the Galio,
you can try to go Vayne as the good matchup into Galio and just farm against the Sona. I believe with the nerfs, it's not necessarily worth it with the Rageblade and direct Vayne nerfs on this patch, and yet it can be considered. Who's going bot lane? The Draven will be no surprise.
And also, this means that they're going to wait to see where that Aatrox is. If it's going to be flexed into the jungle, then OnFleek has the ability to pick that one away, and Ghost is going to lock in the Draven. There we go. That's going to be the answer. The Jackie Love schoolish thought is going to go up against the Sona, this time paired with the Galio.
And it's one of Ghost's big picks. He was a great Draven player in spring season. The the Nocturne ban was a, on paper, surprising one, even though Tarzan's a great Nocturne player. But it's surprising less so when you know Draven was what they were considering as a champion that's get on top of the Draven, just like Nocturne has become compositional answer to Kalista in many different metas as well. So smart ban there. Means that Tarzan returns to Lee Sin. We saw definitely a really nice move from him in the first game. We're waiting to find out what the mid lane pick is here, and seems like Chovy's going on autopilot back to the Akali.
Yeah, in theory, that could be going topside, but we know that this is Griffin, and therefore it's going to be Chovy playing the Akali. OnFleek probably not going to pick the Xin Zhao this time around. I just feel like Xin Zhao is food for Chovy's Akali.
Jungle pickup here.
I was actually going to spitball this one, Papa, just because Elise can have a pretty good matchup if you have vision advantage over the Lee Sin. And it is going to be locked in here for OnFleek, so we'll see how these early ganking junglers are going to get things done.
With a draft like Sandbox's, I was thinking Olaf or something like, as you mentioned, the Elise. You needed something aggressive that has a pretty decent matchup into Lee Sin because you want to win the jungle matchup around the Sona bot lane shenanigans. The thing that Elise provides is she does a bit of both rather than Olaf's only going. You can try to peel or at least play around your Draven, and when it is Draven, it usually becomes about Draven. That is just how it goes with the conceded AD carry in the bot lane. Backline access available for the Lee Sin and Akali. Seems like it's pretty clear about dive buddies, but while Draven, if left standing, can do a lot of damage, you do wonder if it's always going to be the Aatrox minigame of first kill goes the way of the Aatrox, hard to lose.
That's exactly right. The thing I really like as well is the fact that you create a lot of really gankable lanes with the Rise there, Rune Prison into Cocoon is a hell of a lot of CC that's pretty difficult to avoid, and then a lot of extra damage provided for that lane as well. So Griffin are going to have to play around this early game effectively. However, once they get to the mid to late game, the heroic entrance plus crescendo is just so much CC in a small area. Sandbox are going to have to play very intelligently as the team fights go on, and if Viper survives for longer than he did in game number 1, it could be very, very scary. However, Sandbox did it in game 1. See whether they can do it in game number 3.
Where are the junglers going? We didn't see the bot side plays in game number 2 through the Xin Zhao like we thought with Sandbox. They're on Elise now. Elise versus Lee. Could be a fun-packed early game full of action.
Well, since the dawn of time. I mean, since these champions were introduced into League of Legends, it's always been a fun matchup. Lee versus Elise. Level 3 is so much fun. Let's get into it. Sandbox gaining fans slowly and steadily throughout their inception into the LCK to now.
10 p.m. local time. We see that Viper, we talked about how Summoner Aerie was being thrown in to the realm of the Sona builds. We're seeing a different choice. Now let's talk about how game 1 went the way of Sandbox, and specifically to what Sandbox did. They had Summit just find inventive ways to stop Sona Taric from ever being a thing. Honestly, it was Sona somewhere and then Taric being collapsed on, or Sona being collapsed on and Taric having to ult disconnected. It was never the duo for easy team fights. They were definitely pulling some misfires, but it was also Summit Silas dropping into different spots to assassinate the Sona. if you look at the comp from Griffin, they actually don't have what we saw from the Sona Galio we really liked, where they had a lot of zone control with Cannon Ultimate and Galio and other AoE controls.
They in fact had AoE CC on everyone.
In here, all we see is Galio alongside Tarzan and Chovy probably diving on Lee Sin and Akali. So actually, this is the sort of game where Sona might just be killed in transition and not be able to be the aura bot that usually makes her a guaranteed win champion. So I don't mind Viper dropping some of that early gold generation, going the way of the Unsealed Spellbook, and having flexible options like heal and cleanse and ghost to try to get himself out of bad predicaments.
The thing I very much like here on Sandbox's side is that they've navigated themselves into a position where they have lanes that are pretty good. You know, Ryze versus Aatrox has been an ever-evolving matchup on the top side of the map. I'm not entirely sure where it sits at the moment, but can be pretty comfortable for the Ryze. He's just going to try and scale.
I think it's very easy to make a meme joke about Ryze right now, because it's very much like pop a thumbs up, Ryze 9-11, great matchup for Ryze, and then 9-12 is a different kettle of fish for some of these matchups.
Yeah, well, Summit just avoids every single ability coming out of Sword there.
You got movement speed, shield, and ranged harass, so Aatrox obviously hates his life. Can also turret dive, the newer version of Aatrox as well, so you can actually kill him with that first CC, like is present in most Ryze matchups. So.
Glad you bring that up, because they also have an Elise, Papa Smithy, and what does she do very well?
You know what?
She dives.
She follows up the first CC with a cocoon that can't miss, and then happy times ahead.
Yeah, and then if you're underneath, the turret has Repel to get herself out of any threat range. It's real scary. But whether they can actually navigate themselves into a position where they can utilize it is the question. Because Griffin, in the early games of all of these games, have actually been doing a decent job.
And when you see Ryze Elise, you say, please counter-gank my lane, Tarzan. So that's why he's in top side, trying to find as much information as possible. He already had a ward, he was ready for the lane play. Scuttle could be contested here. Smite down on Elise.
Yeah. Oh, he is able to pick that one up, but Tarzan does throw some damage back. Dove, though, will have the inside track in the mid lane, as the push advantage was certainly there for the Jace. So no follow-up from Chovy. That is eventually going to go down, but 19 health was a low margin for that Riskella.
OnFleek could also make a beeline for the bot side Scuttle. Assuming his cocoon is available, he should be fancied in trades against Lee Sin. Yep, Tarzan will be dropping any access to Scuttles. He'll hit level 4, but definitely advantage over to Elise, who didn't even need to take Krug Camp for 4 and a bit.
Yeah, I just love this matchup. The Elise Lee Sin is so cool because it's not set in stone with how it's supposed to go, right? Often it's about the position you are on the map, the vision that you have, the control that you have, which is why we'd often like Tarzan on either side of the matchup, right? Because he's so good at controlling the jungle. However, OnFleek has really put himself into a position in the LCK where he has a target on his back for being one of the most proactive junglers that we have, even if it isn't necessarily as cerebral as what Tarzan offers.
And I think we always talk about matchup. This is like an invader's advantage or proactive advantage, where if you're the one walking in, they face check you, well, that's a lot of burst damage you're taking, and that's usually what happens. So it means that both of them beholden to playing aggressive, which is what we kind of want out of our League of Legends Atlas. So just a matchup that you can look at, smile, and enjoy, because it's been kind of evergreen through, what, 5 to 6 years of competitive play.
I think ever since Elise and Lee Sin were released. Whichever one came first. I think they were actually relatively close
Lee Sin
together.
was first, I believe, and then Elise following.
Yeah.
I want to say Elise is season 3.
Yeah. I also remember that no one really played Lee Sin for a very long time. Even though he was very strong, no one had figured him out. It was a different time of League of Legends. And so they probably came into meta at similar times, to be honest, despite the release dates being different.
Summit not able to get auto-attack harass, so no turret placed in the very much bot lane.
Yeah, meanwhile, bottom side, Ghost has to use the flash, but isn't going to be enough. Stand aside comes in. Will Viper be able to catch up? The answer is no. He's got a Frost Fang, not much more, so no booties to help him move forward. Song of Celerity, a little bit higher cooldown at this level.
And no damage in the really early game, so unable to finish off a kill, but nice little harassment. Getting Summoner out of Ghost is not a fool's errand. It's something nice, because the next time, Lehends can get the drop with a Justice Punch. Speaking of getting the drop,
it's also another time that Ghost has both his flash and teleports on the same cooldown. I swear he just is a little bit too aggressive with that button as, okay, sword. Throws down the ultimate, but no one hits any buttons, and I think that Sword and Tarzan were on completely different pages.
Yeah, kind of hopeful start by Sword. He pops the ult, thinking that it'll be easy for Tarzan to go forward, and everything was correct except for the ult not being there to make it easy for Tarzan to make the play and get Summit away from the turret, and even then, Summit's flash up, so good read on the map. Sandbox knew they were top. The gank is a failed one. How about a bonanza of objectives? Except the Drake's going to take a little bit longer.
Yeah, and that means that the Ripskull is going to get his health back as well, so a little bit unfortunate there, but OnFleek is on a champion that's pretty damn good at taking down a Ripskull. Spots to see whether there's no control wards, and there aren't any, so he's able to take his third Ripskull of the game. Sword playing aggressively here, but notably, it's not Summit playing the Aatrox, it's not Keen playing the Aatrox, it's a different kettle of fish. Is now
spotted.
OnFleek. Yeah, moves down towards the bottom side. Viper in trouble. Cocoon is going to find the Sona somehow out of nowhere. Ghost is going to get the cash in, and Sandbox strike first, and they strike hard.
And it's like a double kill because it's a 300 bounty already for the Draven, so a lot of gold coming in there, 1,700 casual
That's almost double, Papa Smithy. That's in fact, yeah, very close. I think it's like 50 gold. And Ghost would have double that of what Viper has.
And even if you put the numbers together like you should do when it is a non-farming Sona, it is still a lot more gold on the side of Sandbox's duo lane than there is, and about a turret plate to make it even more sweet.
Yep, that will be double the gold. Now going over to Ghost, and we know that he's very, very good at finding himself moments in the mid-game to utilize Draven's absolute power. I feel like there are certain people that are born Draven players. You may have seen them on Twitch before.
I do wish that I was VOD reviewing, and we get the replay. It's so important, is there just was nothing. There was no accountability when it's no flash on both Viper and Lehends. So honestly, yes, it would have been a little bit harder to kill the Galio, but it felt like the Cocoon, any Cocoon is golden. So
yeah.
Not able to tank with impunity like they were with the Yuumi in game number 2. And you couldn't ask for a better result. And now Ghost says, hey, let's keep laning. I'll buy an Executioner's Calling to dunk you even harder.
Yeah. BF Sword and Executioner's Calling coming in on the same back, Papa. That's beginning of the end for that lane.
Just Draven things.
Yeah.
Now, Draven has always had kind of a queried late gamers. Here we go.
Yeah, there's the kick flash, but the flash comes in just in the nick of time from Summit and denies the ability for Tarzan to put him in the bad spot.
Not able to pull that one off. Don't believe it was a true kick flash. Felt like a flash kick more so on that one.
Yeah, I think it might have been a little bit messed up because you do trap them in an animation. So generally, kick flash, the reason why it's so good is that you can't flash out of it. So the fact that Summit could flash means that wasn't a kick.
I definitely think that was a late kick. Uh-oh.
Yeah, Whirling Death comes in. That's named correctly, Papa. Sandbox are winning.
This is a Tom Clench lane every time
Oh,
Draven
God,
starts
yeah.
autoing people. It's it's not nice to see.
And Tom's even on the winning team, still
Yep.
clenching,
Yep.
just because you're starting to feel guilty at that point. It's like,
It's a mirror
am I
neuron.
allowed to do this?
It's a mirror neuron thing. You know when you see
Yeah,
other people
yeah,
smiling
yeah.
and you can't help but smile?
Yeah.
Kench is going to clench in this case.
Oh, God. Oh, just stop. I think everyone's clenching.
Well, OnFleek's here as well, try to dunk harder on the Sona lane.
Yep, gets delivered a control ward. Is now Swords looking for Summit. Lots of damage
found him.
availability. Remember, there is no flash. Swords just got to get in there. Okay, the flash forward does find it. Did have to invest his flash to get there, though.
With the Summoner, it was always going to be a kill there, but Summit had some nice moves. He dodged the last Q there, so always an
got
outside
him phase
chance.
rush as well. Almost got the right amount of distance.
But it still wasn't the Jaws. The impeding doom was always there. There wasn't
yeah.
much seeds of doubt. He knew it was coming, so you get the Summoner, so there will be a window perhaps you can return to. But at least a good news story for Griffin, who have a lot of headaches on the bot side.
We have to point out as well that Ghost is taking Klepto, so it's insult meeting injury here on the bottom side of the map, as Ghost is just happy to get all of his autos down on top of the members of Griffin here, and that taunt is actually exactly what Ghost wanted, because he got more auto attacks and more Klepto frogs.
And it's one of those blind situations where you just assume Kleptomancy. It's not Kleptomancy from Viper, but I think Ghost is still, the better for the ride.
Yeah.
In this particular case, another turret play. I'm loving seeing punishment onto a Sona lane. It's not quite Sona Taric, but this is what we were. not seeing in game 1 that they got away with that we are seeing in game number 3.
And how cathartic is this for SKT fans and SKT in general as we've got a fight on the top side of the map. Summit might just be dead. The Cocoon is good and Summit has created enough distance. The turnaround is successful, but damn, it was close from Sword.
And Sona's had enough. She's done. She's backed up. She's going somewhere else.
It wants a trade in on Summoner, I think, as Chovy dives in onto Dove. This is the 1v1 that you want. As Chovy is ignited, Dove now as well. Hexdrinker is activated. Chovy wanting to wait this one out. Does he land the Shuriken backflip? The answer is it doesn't even matter. But OnFleek finds the position. Tarzan's right there. And Griffin have the answers in the mid lane.
Kali flexing on the Jace, even through Hexdrinker. Min-maxing damage to pick up the kill. Pre-Gunblade solo kills are always a welcome sight for a team with a Kali. Side lanes here are going to be oh so intriguing. Ryze versus Akali possibilities. Jace versus Akali looking really tricky earlier than expected.
Yeah, and it was Dove actually with a lot of control in that lane early, but now without any summoner spells and without any sort of advantage anymore, might mean that Griffin can take control of Shelly. Because Abyssal Voyage is going to come in, so that is going to mean that the money that Draven has provided will turn up in time. He's actually top side of the map at the moment, as we've switched things on their heads. No one wants to have anything to do with the Cloud Drake, and that is why Shelly is going to be the point of contention.
And we're already at a point, very early, 12 minutes in, where Jace really wants nothing to do with Akali, and Draven and the Tahm Kench, you know, Viper wants nothing to do with them. So both sides are trying to dodge things, and you can do that to a point, but also the reality hits you on the head from time to time. Lane assignments are flexible, but no team is winning enough to always get the matchup they want. So it just presents a very interesting duality with what to do as you're trying to look at gold numbers, aren't you?
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Ghost has a really obscene number. Yeah. It's obscene.
I mean, he's got pretty obscene items as well.
Yeah.
He has all the healing, and he doesn't give anyone else any healing.
Yep. That's the I get, you not allowed to have. It's a very jealous Draven right there.
How about just dunking down a Rift Herald in the same lane as the Sona?
What about an even more gold Draven?
Yay! I like as much as cute cats.
Yep. That is, yeah, the winningest Draven in the universe. Didn't actually get any plates, so never mind. Oh, that's frustrating. That's like the ultimate missing a cannon.
It's also the one where you hit the perfect kick flash and then you can't get a plate, and it's like, come on, guys, what are we doing?
Yeah. Well, Ghost is at least going to be able to get this one. There's a plate available, as Griffin are going to close on in.
Oh, we're going.
They feel like they need 5 people. The crescendo comes down. The Devour's there in time, though, as the teleport is going to follow up. Ghost at least is able to get some speed there. Flashes out of the way of Chovy, but they've got so many engaged choices. Viper locks down that kill, and now 5 members of Griffin are closing in on Sandbox. Infernal Chains not going to do it onto Summit, but they at least managed to kill Ghost.
And they make Ghost and Joker honest, and while it's only a single kill, disrupting the hell that Viper and Lehends is in has some intrinsic reward as well.
The shutdown for Viper is huge.
And it's because they made the right map read. Everyone could bail out and come top except for Dove. He had to come up the honest way, no teleport on this Jace. The all room top side, they interrupt what seemed like just another stacking of gold onto Ghost. Nice moment from Griffin, even if it doesn't arrest what is still around a 3,000 gold advantage for Sandbox.
Yeah, Ghost goes back, gets himself an extra pickaxe to augment this build. See what item choice it's going to be, most likely the Infinity Edge. As we have a look at this one once again, I was daring to believe as Joker got the Devour in and it was a good flash from Ghost, but there were just too many different moves.
And with all their vision, no answer to Jace just having to slowly hike his way to the top lane. So nice play from Griffin, much smoother from Tarzan. That Lee Sin play. The items continue to roll in though, and it feels like oh so early. It's going to be Zonia's to complement the Gunblade that was done nice and early.
Yeah, and despite that play actually working out very, very well, you can see Sandbox 5 plates on the bottom side, 3 plates on the top side. They still have themselves a pretty great position as Viper. Oh man, he's very close to having that crescendo back available again, but the Sona has to be careful. She's in 3 auto attack territory from Ghost at the moment. And even the W doesn't help.
So how does Sandbox win the game from here is a very pressing question. With their Ignite Jace, they have to group around the Jace, not teleport Jace to play side lane. And they have to just siege from all the threat that Jace and Draven Autos does. And then try to catch people in transition. Something like the Elise Cocoon or the Rise can catch people on flanks. They can make an honest man out of anyone. So because of that, I think that's the game plan Sandbox needs to follow. Because even with an Ignite advantage, no advantage over Chovy, both of them have Ignite. But even in this scenario, short of a Moore and a GA, you're not liking this 1v1.
Well, Chovy, very intelligent play on the bottom side of the map. Not going to push up, even though he saw that minions were being taken down on the turret. That is a big win, actually, for Griffin, as that whole minion wave went begging. Chovy now looking for OnFleek as well. That is insult to injury, as he has to go into his stopwatch. Flash is available. He's going to use his repel to buy time. And the Abyssal Voyage will save the life of his jungler, but has it spared the blushes is the real question.
Enemy team uses resources, Griffin uses none, and gets top lane turrets. So I think overall, yes, blushes are baited, but they're still there. Under the surface, the makeup's not hiding those ones. Nice push in the bot side. Chovy finds one scenario where he doesn't have an all-in. With his ult on cooldown, Chovy cannot get a double kill out of nowhere.
Yeah, fair bit of damage available here against his turret. Two ranged attackers, so the inner is going to go down. The defense is working on the top side as well, as Summit is up there, flash in hand. So he's not going to get ganked and killed. This is a good force from Sandbox on the bottom side.
So interesting. The game is very finely poised between the two. Ghost is strong, but Akali, Lee Sin, Aatrox is a trio that should be able to kill Draven, or at least zone him out of a fight, unless the Draven is comically far ahead, or someone face checks the point-and-click CC from Rise and at least follow up, and they get the first kill from there. So there's certainly potential here, and even if Draven's not the dive target, remember, Akali Lee Sin can just get Aatrox that reset, and there probably will be a lot of ability just to try to ignore Draven and continue to clean up from the first kill and that unkillable Aatrox on the back end. So Griffin do have some flexible options, and while Draven's strong, he's not ridiculously fed just yet.
I mean, he is still 3,000 gold ahead of Viper. Because he doesn't have his Klepto, so I guess he's not going to have as much money as Sona's going to at maybe the 20-minute mark for any other Sona that we've seen so far. So maybe that's not necessarily the right sounding board to try and work that one out. However, that is still a big number in anyone's book.
It means that some of those sticky situations Viper found themselves in, he'll have an extra summon to try to evacuate. But getting to the item total he found himself in harder, Viper might die to the ultimate here.
Yep, that's a willing death. If it lands, he's dead. As there is, in fact, the Executioner's calling. Cocoon lands onto Lehends. Not going to be able to Justice Punch out of that one. Does go golden. They need to finish with this turret, as Lehends is going to go down. But no more members of Griffin go in the process. The taunt was decent to stop any follow-up.
And grouping around the Jason, looking for more. Tarzan going to get his way out. Griffin trying to 1-3-1. It's 1-2-1 at the moment. It's two turrets in the mid lane, and no sign of Sandbox stopping.
Yeah, and that's why we talk about non-committal CC being so powerful. You've got Rune Prison, Cocoon, all of these different buttons, and they're paying dividends now at close to 20 minutes into the game.
Griffin,
Inhibitor dead.
Griffin
no
have
options.
to fight. They have to find a team fight win here, otherwise they've been split to death.
Well, Tarzan still waiting for that resonating strike as they all converge. This is a huge pincer move, but Chovy a little bit too early. Sandbox staying grouped. OnFleek gonna go up into the air as they all dive back down again. Are we gonna have the option here as Heroic Entrance does come down? Ghost trying to get the 1v1 off onto Chovy. Will have to flash to get back over the wall. The auto attacks are there. Summit is in the fight, but Ghost is down. That is the main target they're looking for, and the Rise is going to die in the end. Joker evacuates with the Abyssal Voyage and will get out of this one. It's a lost fight for Sandbox, but have they done enough damage?
They've done so much damage given the timer, but actually the clock striking 20 almost just gave Griffin a free Baron after their first team fight victory. Griffin was split to hell, but Sandbox go into the tall grass as a group. They bring friends, like you should. Pokemon taught us this.
Yep.
They come in as a 5, and yes, eventually they're going to have to pay some inroads. Ghost has his overshield, but it is a free farm Chovy in order to clean up the kill. When Draven dies, it could be the worst case scenario, but Joker getting out and there being 3 alive, including the jungler, means there is no Baron to punish after all for Griffin.
It was really nicely done. Now Ghost does have his Infinity Edge completed, but no other crit items, so not exactly the highest value Infinity Edge at this stage. Still needs a little bit more before he gets there. You can see Null Magic Mantle. He wants to make sure that he stays alive against Chovy and also might be building towards that QSS. Although, might get a little bit more value out of something like a Hex Trinket this game, based on the fact that he wants to have that Lifeline passive as well as the Magic Shield. Wouldn't mind that one either. Not a lot to QSS, apart from the Crescendo.
QSSing the kick is a possibility.
That's true, so you can flash.
That's a very possible scenario, but I kind of take your point. A bit of magic resist right now is a good way to occupy an item slot, that's for sure. Probably didn't have gold for a stasis, so no stopwatch just yet. I think stopwatch is probably the way to go. Ghost pushes up. Magic resist interacting with the overshield is something not to be missed there, so we'll have more health to make magic resist a decent stat. We talked about grouping with the Jace. You can see how effective it is, even with the minion wave being cut by Chovy.
I think that's really interesting here is that now there's even extra pressure on Sandbox to play aggressively and play up in their lanes, because now there are super creeps parading towards the Griffin base, which is just free gold that they can pick up from safety every single time. They can stall if they want to, and Sandbox have to force to make sure that they can't.
You see pressure, I see incentive. Last half full says, let's round warp in and blow up the Baron.
Unfortunately, they did it right on top of a Griffin ward.
No,
yes, they're not going to know exactly where they were. However, that's a hell of a lot of damage. And I don't think Tarzan's going to get there in time. Whirling Death does a lot of work, in fact, on the back end as Tarzan looks for it. Doesn't quite find it, though, and he's going to go down solo. OnFleek grabs that one. Crescendo whiffs entirely, as Chovy is at least creating some ruckus. Does land the shuriken backflip, and now Lehends finds himself in the complete wrong place, and Griffin are in shambles. No Baron and no people on the map to defend. Chovy dies as well. We're very close to ace territory as it's just Viper and Sword to try and help this one. And there's no inhibitor in the mid lane.
No.
This could just be the game.
They're going to go for it, Atlas. They might be able to end it here. Griffin all over the shop, Sword trying to keep him alive.
Yeah, he does have a lot of AoE. Can he get that first kill to get the reset? The answer is no. Summit just murders him with that last overload. The fadeaway jump shot as Summit's now tanking up the turret. Doesn't fall down, which is important as Tarzan once again not going to find the hero play, and Summit have done it. Sorry, Sandbox have done it. That's a Freudian slip if ever I've heard one. Nexus goes down. Sandbox topple Griffin in a beautiful way towards the end of that game. Ghost took control of the early game, and the team fights are what did it at the end.
The coaching staff know it. Some of the players still working out their settings. They're letting it wasp up over them. We knew Griffin weren't the same as their Spring Fortune, but toppling them in the regular season is a very important scalp for the side of Sandbox Gaming. Big victory from them, largely facilitated through the Draven being the apt replacement for the Varus that was banned in game number 3. I hope we get a replay of the final fight, because what I spotted, I watched it and I knew that in the base, Aatrox had teleport. Why could Aatrox not get to the Baron? Actually, Sword teleported to a ward near the Drake and could never get there. His teleport was on cooldown, but I couldn't understand why was he so far out. He saw a fight going all the way towards the mid lane that never happened.
Well, I mean, it's plays like that can lose you games, but you can see it's not on the side of Sandbox. They were victorious today, and a win over Griffin is just gigantic for this team, because remember, these two were together in Challenger before Griffin made it in halfway through 2018. So to get that monkey off your back is actually a huge one here for Sandbox. Despite the fact that they were able to draw first blood against Griffin, it wasn't a series win. And now, in Summer, first time of asking, they walk away with a win.
They walk away with a win, Atlas, and that is worth its weight in gold when it even gives you head-to-head against one of the teams that we know will be in consideration in the business end of the season. Congratulations to Sandbox Gaming, who can put it all together. A game win interrupting the win streak in spring season was a start, but straight up winning in summer is oh so sweet.
Yeah. Really great stuff here. You can see a lot of emotion here on the faces of these players. It may not necessarily be no-fade levels after the FLICKR victory over SKT, but you know these guys are all breathing a sigh of relief, because it's not until the second round robin that they have to go up against the former tormentor in Griffin.
Really hope we get a replay. Understandable if we don't, given the Baron take was so quick and bloodless at the start, but yeah, we saw the Realm Warp on a ward, so we know there was a closer ward than teleporting bot side from Sword, so The now standard salute from the only man playing in the LCK to already have completed his military service. Now a Korean heart to back it up. Joker's feeling good. Some good shot calling has always been the way with Joker. 28 years of age, 28 years young, I'll say. You and I make him look like a young'un. We're old fogies in comparison. They're still getting it done on the LCK stage, and big congratulations to the team of Sandbox for interrupting what has been just the playing field for Griffin to stack victories.
And it's really strange because it doesn't feel like the first Griffin loss, although it actually is.
So let's watch
have a look
play.
at this one yet again. Yeah.
On a ward, as we know, they're spotted. Aatrox goes back to shop. The Baron is done really, really fast. So Aatrox not going to get there for the Baron unless he teleports straight away. Maybe the call is not to try that. Watch how this fight goes on, because Griffin won a fight. Tarzan goes straight in, right? He's trying to make a play happen. Chovy dives in as well. This is a very hard engage from Griffin. The surprise is, where are we going?
What?
There's so many wards closer, but he wards as if he's coming for a flank. I don't understand what Sword's doing, because either you don't fight and you give them the Baron and you reset, they were just too good, the round warp outdid us, or you teleport into the fight.
Yeah, that teleport was about as bad as it could possibly be. The only worse teleport from that would have been the minion wave on the bottom side of the map.
Either the teleport was bad or the communication was really off, because why go there is a very obvious question. The only reason I checked myself is I saw that it was a teleport bot side, and I was like, wait, maybe there was no ward. But then we saw them on a ward when they were realm warping, so there clearly was a ward.
Yeah.
And we get the replay confirmation of what was going on. And you could ask that, you could level that about some of Griffin's decisions from ahead in game number 1. This game they're behind, and they need to make some kind of emergency moves to get back in. But I just love how decisive Sandbox were. Wait, they both double flash to get damage onto the Draven earlier. Let's go bot lane and kill the Sona.
Yeah.
And then around the Baron, Realm Warp, Baron speed, Draven free farm. Sandbox made their own advantages and can only profit with the victory.
The thing I really loved about it as well is this was a victory that wasn't orchestrated by Summit, because at the moment, like at the beginning of the season, it was all Summit in all of the victories, basically. This time around, he was more of a passenger. He was on the rise, he was getting the rune prisons and things like that, but you can see that it's Ghost that's the target. It's Ghost that everyone wants to take down and is doing the majority of the damage. It's not about Summit this game, but Sandbox can still find victories.
And you can forgive kind of the presumption that stars are very what about me, you know, it's all about me, I'm the star, kind of the proverbial Draven of the team.
Yeah.
But what I find more often than not, talking to these players who are considered kind of top of class for a team that doesn't win all the time, is all they want is for their teammates to join them where they're already at. So they just have 5 players and the team victory can happen. We're going to watch the replay, and again, good calls to very quickly finish this Baron. They see Lee Sin coming and they know they can rush it down. The Aatrox decision to first fully teleport might have been an item, that is understandable, but the next part is so curious.
Yeah, this teleport is real strange. The Crescendo also doing absolutely nothing. It really did feel a little bit like fatigue, but this was Sandbox having all of the communication and all of the control.
The Nicers with a little bit more of that something Atlas. They knew.
There's a lot of passion coming out of Joker right now, as you can see.
Closing out from here, and there was only kind of the token defense available. Good focus fire, good victory. How good is Sandbox? How will Griffin's fallback season after another disappointing final go? Who will be the 3 teams representing Korea at the World Championship? We know that Sandbox won't be playing in Rift Rivals this year.
Yeah, we know that much. However, everything else is unclear, Papa, and I'm glad that you brought that one up, because now that Griffin takes this loss, it's going to be Griffin and SKT in this weird alignment after SKT just fell to a FLICKR at the end of last week, and now Griffin falling down to Sandbox. We have both of our teams that are in the final of the LCK faltering very early in the Summer Split, and now we get to test to see which of these teams is going to be able to bounce back and who's going to be able to make the better adaptation, moving into a Worlds that LCK doesn't have a lot of expectation to win at this point in time.
And as an LCK caster, I can look at this after Worlds last year and say, I'm ready to be dispassionate. Send the 3 best damn teams over to the World Championship. Genji creaked in the end, of course, in 2018, unfortunately, were exposed as the meta started to change.
Yep.
Things didn't come together for the FLICKR Freaks either when push came to shove, and KT couldn't get past Invictus Gaming, lost to the overall champions. If we have to send Sandbox Gaming, Damwon Gaming, and other teams that are just better at the time, let's go for it, is my opinion on that. So congratulations to Sandbox. They take home the victory. And all we can say is to come away and say it's well-deserved, and hopefully we're going to see some concerned parenting coming through from CB Max, so often the pseudo-parent of this team, and I believe that, unfortunately, Viper's lost his Sona privileges.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Griffin didn't come out victorious because they got angry after game number 1. However, it was not enough to get that anger into game number 3. The MVP is going to go over to OnFleek. The man was everywhere on the map and able to control things. My vote was towards Ghost, but he was just the guy that was getting all of the money. That stand aside, however, was a real nice prediction.
Very nicely played from him there, and while Chovy was making some nice counter punches at times, we saw him assassinate Draven on screen as well. OnFleek was ahead of the play and choosing the right places to go. So while not necessarily easy to crib up the teamfight highlights, at least not really a teamfight champion, especially the bot lane gank, the inroads that brought, the double kill effectively with the 300 bounty and also the 300 kill, it all came together.
Yep, it was really, really nice. And now we get to have a chat to the Sandbox players, so let's throw it over to Jisun for some translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Jason with the interview translation, and we're gonna be joined by Summit OnFleek from Sandbox Gaming. It took 3 years for you guys to defeat Griffin. How do you feel right now? I always thought them as a stronger team, but I had good feelings. I knew that we were able to pull this up, but if we really able to do it, so I'm really happy. And during the mic check, we could hear Goats yelling a lot during the mic check. What happened? I mean, every one of us, we really wanted to get this victory today, so we were having a lot of reactions. And OnFleek, your match up against Tarzan was one of the biggest hypes, especially Tarzan, his solo queue. Well, ladder points is so high. Did you feel any pressure? Well, in terms of performance, I'm always confident, so there was no big pressure around me. Game number 1, Summit, your Silas was on point. And you especially have a very high win rate on Silas. It's really strong in laning phase, and I think there is no weakness in Silas, so I just try to bring Silas as much as I can. Well, there will be a nerf coming soon, right? I mean, I think we'll have to wait and find out in competitive games. How is your practice going on solo queue with Silas? It's actually really good still, and it's a really good blind pick. And OnFleek, you played Elise in game number 3. So, tell us about the situation. Well, Jace and Elise competition, we always rate it really high. And also Elise itself is a good counter champion against Lee Sin. And we could see you guys keep opening Sona to Griffin. So how does Sandbox will rate Sona in competitive games? Well, it actually the bot laners they decide, but I think they are okay with it, so we just believe them. And OnFleek, game number 3. Well, the bid was actually opened in the very early phase. What was going on? Well, Akali and Aatrox, they were doing a lot of work in the side lane, so we just wanted to group up and like push mid. We were on a really huge siege, but they were not backing, so we were just keep pushing mid. And the late game, the Baron try was really awesome. So whose opinion was that? Where Ryze told me just let's move all together with the ultimate, and we also had a lot of Mountain Drakes, so we thought that it would be really viable track, and it kind of worked out really well.
네, 이대로 경기가 이제 끝났습니다. 자, 아마 오늘 경기를 통해서 이제 다음 경기가 SKT와의 경기인데 이길 수 있다는
Well,
자신감이
your
더
next
붙었을 것
opponent will
같아요.
be
서밋 선수의
SK Telecom. I think today's performance would have boosted your confidence, right? Griffin and SKT, they are both stronger teams, so we're just gonna do our best.
자, 그리고 조커 선수가 베리굿을 좀 밀겠다 이런
Joker
얘기가
actually in the
있었는데
trash talk
오늘은 한마디도 안
he said he
나왔어요.
wanted to make a meme of Sandbox very good, but he
오늘
didn't
경기
say that
어떠셨나요?
for a single time.
네.
I think today our performance was very good.
서밋 선수, 온플릭 선수도 베리굿이었고요. 다음 경기도 기대해 보도록 하겠습니다.
Thank you very much for
오늘
this
인터뷰
interview summit and
감사합니다.
OnFleek, and I'm gonna pass it back to our casters. Thank
네,
you.
샌드박스 게이밍의 서밋 선수.
Thank you so
온플릭
much,
선수
Ji-sun,
함께했습니다.
for your
중계선
translation.
연결할게요.
As always, I know it's been a bit of a long night so far, but the conclusion is that Sandbox walk away victorious, and you can see both of the players, a lot of relief on their faces, and Sandbox beating Griffin, man, that's the world we live in right now, and also a world where Sona loses in late game fights or just doesn't get to late game fights. I don't know.
After MSI, I'm ready for an LCK where the for sures are very limited. The sure bets right now, it feels like Kingzone are really good, right? But until we see them get the monkey off their back and beat SKT tomorrow, even there you're like, okay, they seem to know their stuff, but they're not tested when it comes to going further. They lost 3-0 in that semi-final. The conventional strong teams are slacking. They're falling away a little bit at the start of the season. It feels like a very open race, and that's never really been the story in Korea, because either it was the team with FLICKR winning or the team with Prey and Gorilla winning.
Yeah.
For the longest time, Atlas, that was the story. Here we are at the middle of week 2, and we have to, of course, include that, or at least the start of week 2. And it just feels like we need way more information than usual to know exactly who's good and who's not.
Well, Kingzone now find themselves with a 2-point lead. After today's games, without actually having to play, Griffin got pulled down a peg after they lost a point there. So, oh man, it's just looking more and more like Kingzone are the winners. However, SKT being their next opponent is going to be a huge one. And in fact, as the dust settles after that one, if it's a 2-0, we're going to have +2s all over the place.
Well, I hope we get plus 200,000 viewers tomorrow, because we got Kingzone SKT as our second match. This is the one I think everyone wants to see, because SKT, kind of understandable. They'd be a bit slow starters to Summer once again. You don't get to have that excuse if you lose to a team you should be able to pick yourselves up for. SKT have those veterans that for the big matches, you know they'll pick themselves up for. Already, this is a huge match, because Kingzone has come in all guns blazing, and they've had Kingzone's number in the past. If SKT lose this one, especially in a 2-0 fashion, suddenly Kingzone are runaway favorites.
And also, we then have our first match of the day as well that needs a bit of a mention here. Jin Air versus Gen G. Can Jin Air find themselves some wins earlier in the season when it comes to matches than they did in spring?
Gen G up and down. They have to look at this one and say, we beat them last season, why not again?
Yep, that's exactly right. But that is all the action that's going to be happening today. Tomorrow, we've already told you exactly what's going to happen, and it's going to be real spicy. So Papa and I are going to go home, get some sleep, and we'll see you tomorrow for more LCK.
You take me higher when I feel low. Make my world brighter when I'm alone. I keep on rolling, but with your fuel. You're like my gasoline that makes my dream come true. 'Cause this is the beginning. Together we'll be winning. With you I'm a sinner. Make my soul go singing. 'Cause with you I'm feeling feather light. Like a feather, light like the wind. I fly together to where we never been. You taught me loving without all the bling. You're all I need. I'm feeling feather light.
이번 판에 얼마다 이거?
my secret code. I keep on rolling, oh, with your fuel. You're like my gasoline that makes my dreams. Together with you, I'm a seven. Make my sorrow silly. 'Cause with you, I'm feeling feather light. Light like a feather, white like the wind. I fly together.
Have you ever wondered how it feels when everybody does what you say? Have you ever wondered what it's like to rule the world for a day? I'll fight until the end. This place won't grind me down.